Hello everyone, this is Kim with Abundant Life Tarot, and this is part 2 of our Q&A, our very first Q&A for the channel. And I want to thank everyone who submitted their lovely questions. They were awesome. I had to do it in two parts because it was quite a few questions, and hopefully this part 2 is not as long as part 1. But you know I'm hella long-winded. Sorry guys. What can I say? So the next question is, how does your spiritual path and practices compare to what the rest of your family does? Which is kind of similar to some of the other, and then she asked, are they interested in all this tarot and crystal stuff? And initially, no. All of my family throughout my whole life has always been interested in pretty crystals and stones and magical-y kind of things. My maternal grandmother, bless her soul, her name's Ella, that's who my youngest is named after. Although she was religious, but that was because she was raised in the rural South, I believe. But she was very into the mystical art. She loved telling ghost stories. She believed in ghosts. She believed that myself, her daughter, my mom, had certain gifts, that she had gifts. She was super cool in that way. So I loved spending time with her in the summers when they would send me out there, but I was always awfully homesick for California when I would go to Mississippi over the summers when I was little. Oh, it was terrible and brutal. I know what homesickness feels like. Yeah, it's a literal like feeling, and it's awful. But it was made better by my awesome grandmother. So I love her. But anyways, I digress. So we've always been into pretty things like crystals. And I got into healing properties of crystals probably around the time of 2008, when like I said, I had like this crisis of faith. I had a couple of crises of faith. The first crisis of faith was in 2000 when my son, I had a baby born when I was at 32 weeks gestation. He lived for 6 weeks and he passed away. I was only 20 years old at the time. And so I really questioned everything about spirituality, God, everything. But I worked through that. I've had many a crises, but nothing brings you to your knees like feeling like you're in a, what do they call it? A dead-end job, and it's a horrific job during an economic downturn, and you're upside down in your home loan, and it's awful. It's the most awful feeling you can imagine. And I was like, what can I do? And so I turned my life around, and I started getting into crystals. I started meditating. I started doing a lot of visualization work. I created vision boards. My kids got into vision boards. They saw me getting into it, creating it. They loved it. They made their own. We have vision board parties now, where it's a part of our thing in our family. When we go traveling, it's like, okay, we bring all our little art supplies. That's just something they expect to do. My kids and their friends love that I gift them with crystals. They love to see what I've added to my collection. My husband, he's not so much, he just thinks they're pretty stones, I think. I don't think he really thinks of them as healing properties, okay? That they have healing properties like I do. But the cards are starting to freak him out. I've been giving him readings, and he's been like, wow, okay. Yeah, might have something. That might be something. He's been super supportive though. Like, he surprised me with how supportive he was of me being into cards, and I love him for it. I just love and want to eat them all up for it. And my parents too, and my sister. My sister's my biggest fan. I love you, Jen. She's my biggest fan. Like, she was the one that I was doing readings for first. She was the one who was like, no, you can do this. You can go get a YouTube channel. You can do this. You could do this. She's always so supportive. And I love her for that. So I've been blessed in that way. And they all love it. I give readings to many of my family members. Just recently, one of my cousins, who I would never think that I have a lot of cousins, by the way. But, like, I feel like hundreds. But he he said, hey, I heard, you know, you give readings, and I don't know about them, but, you know, some of the other cousins were saying they were super helpful, so you think you could give me one and kind of talk me through it? And I'm like, of course. And so that touched my heart. And that was just like a couple of weeks ago at a family get-together, and it touched my heart because I was so worried that certain family members were going to have a problem with me coming out, so to speak, and they've just been so loving and so awesome and supportive. So they all are in it. They all participate. They all look at my cards. They all say, well, what does this mean? And they look at the pretty pictures, they say. And I tell them when I die, it's very, very important that you do not just, I saw this on like one of the tarot Facebook groups. I can't remember which one, but we all laughed because it was like, it's very important that you guys don't just give them away to Goodwill, that you actually go online and see how much they are, and you're allowed to keep the proceeds. I just cannot. I would just be really sad if you just gave away some of the ones that are near and dear to my heart, that mean a lot, that actually cost a lot, and that are probably valuable when I die, because I don't think some are going to be reprinted. And they're all for it. They're like, oh yeah, of course. So it's all good. That's, you know, the promise of money will turn any begrudgingist person that hates tarot, it might turn them around with the promise of a little money. All right, so thank you guys so far for all your awesome questions. I cannot say that enough. I love the questions. So yeah, they are interested, thankfully. Next question is, what is your advice for new tarot readers trying to probably make it in the business? Oh, so for new tarot readers making it in the business, well, if they're at a point where they're ready to start doing readings for others, I would say first feel confident that you are indeed ready to do readings for others, because it is different reading for yourself or for your friends or for people who are well-meaning to people who may leave reviews, may have questions that you aren't used to. So that's the other thing. You have to be ready for the fact that what you thought you were going to be doing a lot of readings of may not be what ends up being what you're doing the readings for. For example, I got into doing tarot readings because I love life purpose readings, and I love readings where people are like at a crossroads, where they're getting ready to retire, or they're wondering if they should retire, or they're wondering if they should change careers, or what is their life purpose, or what are their divine gifts that they should be utilizing. Love those readings. But it turns out that my clients want love readings, or they do want career readings, but it's not necessarily how I thought it was going to be. And it turned out that I had a strength in love readings that I didn't realize. And it could be because I've had heartbreak, and I empathize deeply, and I think I'm able to show that empathy to certain clients, and they can pick up on that like a radio. So don't be upset when you're first starting out, when you first put up your online website and you're like, okay, I'm going to set up a website, I'm going to go ahead, and of course there's legalities. We don't even need to go into the legalities of starting a business. I won't go there with this question, but I will just say, I think now doing it for a little while, it's like being a professional reader, I was just surprised that ended up being one of my specialties, was love readings. And now I love them. Now I love doing them. And then I'm shocked when I get like a slew of readings that are like the life purpose ones. I'm like, what? You guys want to what? I thought you wanted to ask about love. But don't pigeonhole yourself, and don't be upset if and don't be afraid to, if you're seeing that people aren't really gravitating towards certain readings, you can leave one or two of those readings, but then be honest with yourself. If it's that you're trying to build up business, drum up business so you can build up your reviews, you may have to say, you know what, I'm that reader who can offer quick and fast love readings on heartbreak, or I specialize in should I take him back readings, or something like that, and not be afraid and not feel like it's beneath you. Because first of all, it's not. There's still spirituality in that. There's still spirit trying to speak to that person through you, through the cards, your channel. So there's still something there. So don't judge it in that way. I could go on and on about new card readers, and I won't bore you guys with that. New readers to the business, I should say, because there's a lot more, including the legalities of it all. And I do online readings because in my jurisdiction, in my area, I live in a non-incorporated area, so I have to abide by the county's rules. We don't have a city or a mayor. We have to abide by the county's rules, and the county does not. It's not zoned in my neighborhood for people to come to get readings, but I am allowed. First one, hey. To request the allowance of online readings. So I set precedence in my county, in my area, for being able to, I'm so proud of myself, for being able to do at least online readings. And I even can have a sign. I can have I think a 2x2 sign, like 2 foot by 2 foot, to go outside. But I was like, what's the point? I actually love it. I love that I don't have people coming in and out of my home. I love distance readings. Actually, my reading style thrives with distance readings. So it worked out, but it's important, new business folks, to consult, or at least find out, find out under a fictitious name in case, I hate to even say this, but this was some advice that I thought was so cool that I heard. Was like, if you're starting out and you're trying to figure out what your zoning laws are, don't be like me, all bold and brazen, like, I'm Kim with Abundant Life Tarot, and I want to know, can I open up a tarot business in my home? And they're like, what if they would have been like, no? And then now, if I would have been doing online readings and they told me no out the gate for any readings, here they come looking at me and trying to find me. So I saw somewhere, maybe I heard at the Tarot Symposium this year, someone said, have your friend ask. Have your friend give them your questions. Have them call and ask the questions. If you don't want to use a fictitious name, you don't have to use a fictitious name. Have one of your friends or relatives call and ask those questions. But ask, because it could direct how your business is going to go. And for me, it directed beautifully. I have a business license that I can do retail. I can go out in retail establishments and do readings. I can do festivals, fairs. I can do workshops. I can go out to other people's homes. It's just the zoning in my county that doesn't allow them to come, because it's residential suburban neighborhoods. I get it. They don't even have to tell me twice. So that's I tried not to go all over the place. And if you're in another country, it could be totally different. If you're in another state or another city or county, it could be totally different. It's totally different. But it behooves you to check on that, because, I know some people also don't really care about the rules, but I do. I do. I just want to not have to have any problems with that. So, all right. Next question. How do you protect yourself when you're an empath? Oh, I went through a period where I was just wide open and feeling quite susceptible. And so I realized I was having some energy leaks, if you will, where I feel like there was some, not necessarily, these people, the couple of people that I'm thinking about, they weren't mean, but they were needy in a way where I feel like there was some energy vampiric stuff going on that I had to go ahead and just end things. And so I'm now not afraid to set up boundaries with people, whereas before I used to be afraid I was going to hurt people's feelings. Now if I'm just I feel a vibe that it's just maybe time to end that relationship, I end it. And no, I try to keep it as cool and clean as possible. I do wear, I don't want to hit the mic, I do wear stones of protection. In my mind, it protects me. I say, I do a meditation practice, a spiritual practice where I meditate on a healing protective light around me and my family. And because I do this work, I do realize that I might be exposing myself to moments, to spiritual attacks, or I call it psychic attacks. I realize that, but I'm willing to take that risk. And now I have tools. I've been reading up. I have a book over here on my nightstand here. This is in my bedroom. Stickies and bookmarks and things. This is The Awakened Empath. I love this book. I keep it by my bedside because sometimes I just read from it, just to even read over what I've read about before. It's all tabs. It's not all tabs. That's one of my favorite things. So it's The Ultimate Guide to Emotional, Psychological, and Spiritual Healing by Luna and Soul. And it has some great tips in this book. There's many other books written, I think, by Dr. Orloff, specifically about how you work in the world of as an empath. Let's see, let me see if they talk about it here. The Dark Side of Being an Empath, that's chapter 9. Chapter 10, Empaths and Narcissists. Chapter 11, Empaths and Energy Vampires. Parenting Empath Children, chapter 12. I'm sure there's tons. Oh, there's an appendix. There's a what to do now. So getting yourself a good book. They even talk about it in the workplace. So getting yourself a good tool to study, because it's really something worthwhile. To me, investing in this book, investing in a couple of empath decks to kind of work through when I'm trying to navigate, is this my energy that I'm feeling, or is this someone else's stuff kind of impeding on my stuff? What's going on here? So I have a tool in this book and in a couple of empath decks. The Power of Surrender cards is created by Dr. Orloff, who wrote a book about being in the world as an empath. And then I have the Empathic Oracle, which I use mainly for readings for myself and readings for empaths. That is also helpful. They have also some good questions and tools in the guidebook. It's a cool little deck. I like it. Surprised me. So with my family, I also remind them to do protection. Sometimes, do I sage at times? I might, if I remember. I don't always, but I always remember to wear my necklace. I always remember to do a moment of contemplation and prayer, if you will, prayer for protection. So, but I may not, surprisingly enough, be like, oh, well, let me sage. I don't always remember that, so I don't know if that would necessarily help me, but what I'm doing so far has helped me tremendously, especially during a time when I was feeling like I was under some sort of, it wasn't a psychic attack, but I just think there was a lot of different energetic leaks that I wasn't tending to, and they were starting to become big old holes where people were just starting to take, and it was just too much. But now I got a handle on that with some helpful tips from friends and the book and the readings. All right, next up, what do you do to prepare yourself when reading for others? And I thought that was a cool question. That was a nice kickoff from, how do you protect yourself? When I'm doing readings for either the hotlines or readings for my business, I don't always have a chance to do like this big old ceremony. But for some of my more elaborate readings for clients, it is a worthwhile effort for me to cleanse the space. And when I mean cleanse the space, I mean cleanse the space inside of me, where I am not worried about what my kids are doing. I'm literally cleansing the spiritual space and not worrying about all my problems, and I'm just an open vessel. And so I will light up candles. I will just kind of, say the client's name, ponder over their in my mind who they are and what their question is as I'm lighting the candles, because I have to have my pretty little setup on the reading table. I might light some Palo Santo, or lately I've been using, I'm all empty, I gotta make my own batch now, these This is the Raven's Wing or Magical Company Palo Santo Liquid Smudge. Because my husband doesn't really like the smoke. I rarely use California White Sage only because, well, I just have my own reasons why. It's not bad or anything. Well, I worry about, like, also with Palo Santo too, I feel like I know like it's something that's super spiritual to Native Americans, so I'm like very cognizant of that. But I love the smell so much of Palo Santo, so I've got it in an essential oil that I can't wait to make a gazillion smudge sprays. But I love the smell so flippin' much, and it does make me feel like I spray, if I remember, I'll spray it, or I'll light Palo Santo before, and then especially after the readings. I may not always remember before, because usually it's me cleansing, like clearing and making, oh, not a phone call. And of course it's going to ring and ring. No one's going to get it. Sorry guys. And I'm not going to move because I'm being lazy. It's a telemarketer, I guarantee you. And I don't need to be reading the cards to know that. No one calls the landline except that. So anyways, so I will, at the end of readings, I always like definitely want to, you know, cleanse, release, spiritually release the folks who we were asking questions about that, you know, and just kind of set that up, cut those cords. But yeah, I set up my reading table. I write out questions. I actually will write out the questions and the person's information. Oh my gosh, it's ringing. Really? And I take that back. It could be the school. The kids go back to school this week. So the high school and the elementary will all nonstop with the robocalls announcing all sorts of stuff. It could be them. I'll write the client's name, first name, and then their date of birth or their astro sign. I write my questions or the spread I'm doing. I have this, because I do distance readings, I have the questions off to the side on my reading table, and then I do the reading. So that's how I prepare for each reading. I love the part of sending a confirmation email to my clients, just kind of confirming the questions we're going to be going over, and then I make the spread. And that all is a part of my preparing for the reading. Hold on, I need to find out this part. All this talking that I'm doing. I'm on this side now. What is an easier way to understand tarot? One of the things that I probably wish I would have done from the giddy up, but hindsight is 20/20. I would have invested in a deck with the meanings, or would not have been afraid to take a deck like a Rider-Waite-Smith and writing the key meanings onto the cards in the reverse. I have a deck that's downstairs. I'm not going to go get it, but it's called Tarot with Keywords, and it has the upright keyword meanings and the reverse keyword meanings. So, and you can shuffle them and then have at it. I wish I would have done that. I learned through really trying to memorize books, and I read I have tons of tarot books now. Not to mention the guides that come with the tarot decks. And so now I just kind of wish I would have got a good deck like the Tarot with Keywords. Awesome deck. She makes different color ones too, so you can kind of have some personalization. And it's on Etsy, by the way. And I would have done that. I kind of wish I didn't. I wish I would have thought of that before, but like I said, hindsight's 20/20. I still am a book nerd in the sense that I like to read and like to see different tarot readers' perspectives on card meanings. So that I'm grateful that I do have all these books and for that purpose. But if I was really just trying to really learn the cards so I can get to the point of using my intuition and get past the memorization part, I would do that. That's what I would advise people to do. All right. And then, and when is the best time to start reading for other people? That's a good question too. I would say sooner than later. And the reason is, if you're, and I don't know if you mean reading for other people and charging, that's something different. But if you're just reading for other people, read for a relative, read for a sibling, or read for a cousin or a friend. There's always someone who wants a reading. Always. You put it out to a couple of people on Facebook, like, hey, can I do a reading for you? Or get some of your tarot reading buddies to exchange a reading with. Like, you may be part of Facebook groups, right? That maybe you are just getting decks at this point just for readings for yourself. Well, maybe there's people out there who are also new to it and want to exchange some readings. I think the sooner the better, because you'll know sooner. I think it's good to know what kind of reader you are. If you're a reader who prefers to read for others, or you're a reader who prefers to read for yourself. People will disagree with me. They'll say, no, you need to read for yourself for years and years. I don't agree with that. I think we learn how to be really good readers for others and how to really be good readers, period, when we do readings for others. Reading for ourselves is a little different. And if you're reading for yourself, it's probably at that, oh my gosh, and this is why I think it's the school, because they don't combine, even though it's the same message, same information, because the same school district, because we have two in high school and school. I almost want to get up. But you learn by delivering. So if you are at a point at which you're doing readings and you're reading them out loud, doing readings for yourself, and you're starting to get comfortable doing the readings for yourself, and you say the words out loud, I think it's time to start asking others to do readings for them. It's my personal take. It's what I think. That matters. So then we have the two questions. I'm going to put those at the end for the two questions about the mother-in-law. We're going to move those because those come up next. But I hope that was clear. You know, a lot of people, like I said, would, for that question with when is it best to start reading for others, would caution and say read, you know, maybe a year or so later. I don't agree with that, because I really started to understand card reading when I started reading for other people. And my sister, bless her heart, was my guinea pig. And a couple of near and dear friends, you know who you are, who let me read for them. Okay, we'll go back to those two. Next question, I think we already covered extensively about my religious background. Yeah. I like these questions, and you'll know who you are because these are fun questions. Describe your absolutely perfect day if you could do anything. Well, my perfect day, this would be my perfect day, and it kind of happened yesterday, believe it or not. So, because it combined everything that I love. My perfect day would be I wake up early in the morning at 7. I guess it's not super early, but for me that's early. I wake up, I get my cup of coffee, I go down to my favorite reading table, my big reading table, and I have a couple of client readings that I need to do, that I want to do. I do my client readings in the morning, then I have breakfast with my husband. My, kids are up there, relatives spending time. My oldest is in Atlanta now. And we go, my husband and I have a late breakfast or brunch, come back. I might watch a little YouTube or watch the Netflix show. I mean, this is simple stuff here. And then we go for an early dinner because we have a concert to go to. We go for Thai food to our favorite Thai restaurant, and we get he got pad Thai, and I got this awesome chicken stir fry, and it was so good. I got me a nice Moscow Mule. That's an alcoholic beverage that has got ginger. It's just yum. Anyways, then we go to a concert, and it's amazing. The weather lends itself to me just being out with my shoulders out, and I'm just enjoying the music and the vibes with the people. We all vibing and grooving to the same music. We all are just there for the love of this artist and the love of being together under the stars. It's just magical. I come back. My husband and I pile into our bed. We watch a cool television show as we eat the rest of our leftover Thai food, and we fall asleep. That's the perfect day. It happened yesterday, pretty close to perfect. So yeah, thank you for that. And then incorporated a lot of things, you know, that I love. Reading for people, good food, good drinks, good music, good company, love. Yeah. All right, let's see. What else? Let's see. If you were sitting down to do a personal reading today, which specific decks, tools, rituals would you incorporate? Which we kind of talked about before with the tools and the rituals, and I won't repeat. Trying to think if there's any other tools that I could add. No, I do want to mention that the whole reading process for me starts from when I get that order, that reading request. It comes through and they're like, I want to do this topic. I come up with the spread and I send it off to them like, yes. Or they might say, oh, can I add one more question? Or, oh, most times they're like, oh no, you got it perfect, thank you. Or they'll be like, oh, can you twist this around? And I always encourage people, confirm what it is that you're doing the reading for so you don't have any miscommunication, especially for distance readings. But anyways, the whole process is beautiful to me because I then I go see which decks from my working decks that I'm called to use for their reading. So I will shuffle. I have my working decks and I'll take 3 of those working decks and I'll shuffle to see whichever one has the highest, most favorable card is the deck I'm going to use for that client's reading. And I tell you, if I don't do that, there's something in me that when I start doing a reading for someone and then I'm like, this isn't the deck. I don't want this deck. This is not the deck. I never have that moment. 9 times out of 10, if I do my little selection process where I pick the highest and most favorable card from my plentiful decks, the deck always sings to me. Always, we just communicate beautifully in the reading. So that is something that I do that I don't know if everybody else does, but it is a part of the reading process. And I think that one of the perks to having a selection of decks, I don't want to say you have to have a mass selection, you don't. The ability to be able to have different decks to work with in your readings. And I'm a card slinger. I like to have, my style is I like to have different decks talking to each other. So I cut myself some slack for having all the decks that I do for that purpose. All right, so let's see. And then this person writes, I know everyone hates this question, but, in all caps, top 5 tarot and oracle decks. Okay, top 5. I have them all picked out. So, and I won't go through the cards because to save time. I'll just show you the boxes. I'll pull them out because some of them are actually in bags. The Moonchild. And like I said, these are one of those questions that if you ask me this next year, it probably will change, of course. The Moonchild. That's number 1. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry. Didn't mean to make the tripod. I mentioned it before. The Bohemian Gothic Tarot. Love this deck. The Luna Soul. I've been using this non-stop. I love this deck for love readings and everyday readings. It's a really good deck. It always ends up winning in my little contest for reading for others when I get the highest, most favorable. And then I'm always grateful because it always gives me the best readings. And then I had, I think that's 3. This is I wanted to also incorporate decks you guys could actually get right now. The Vision Quest. Love this deck too. Vision Quest Tarot. It surprised me. I was not thinking I was going to really like this deck because it's, you know, not necessarily, there's some Rider-Waite aspects to it, but it's more Thoth-like. And there are aspects where it's a little pippish, like this card, but it worked beautifully with readings for others. For me, it's one of the few decks that isn't really Rider-Waite Smith heavy that I can work with clients with no problem. And then I'm going to mention, this is hard. This is really a hard thing because it's just hard to choose. I actually have so many decks. This is the Triple Goddess. And I love it so much, it can't even be in this tug box. I think I had to throw the tug box away because I used it so much. I use this deck now more so for readings for others than I do for myself. But it was my go-to for love tarot readings until the Luna Soul came and bumped it out of the way. But it's such a good deck. I resonate so much with it, and I can just pick it up and just instantly just know what's going on. And I don't always go to it, but I've used it for readings with other, like with males or with there's the Two of Cups. But I always worry about it because it's a Triple Goddess deck. It's a little on the feminine, but it doesn't matter. They don't mind it. The guys don't mind this deck either because I have really good readings from it. But I pulled it out because last year and in parts of this year I used it non-stop for readings for others. And it's Low Scarabeo. You guys could get it. It's a really good deck. I love it. Here's the Eight of Wands. I really, really love this deck. So that's 5 tarot. Let me discuss the Oracle. Similar thing. I won't take them out. Here's the Soul Trees, the Dreamer's Journey Major Arcana Oracle. This deck I sometimes use for other people, but most times this is for readings for myself that I put on this altar over here. They're always accurate messages that I do for my, it used to be weekly, but now it's bi-weekly draws. This is an awesome, awesome deck. I love it to pieces. I know I saw in some Facebook groups people don't necessarily resonate with it, but I do. I love it. It's one of my favorites of all time, surprisingly. Another one that you guys know, if you know my channel, you know this quite well. This is the Dear Heart Oracle. I have the first and second edition combined. I combined both editions to use them together. Love, love, love this deck so, so much. I cannot tell you guys how much I love it. My intuition, there's no guidebook, and I like that. It's me and the intuition going at it. So that's number 2. Number 3, again, you guys, if you've been on my channel at any length of time, you probably know this is the White Rabbit Oracle, editions 1 and 2. I've combined 1 and 2. Here's the back of 2, back of 1. Love this oracle. As you can see, so that's 3 independent decks. I guess Mildred is also independent too. The Mildred Payne Secret Pocket Oracle. Again, if you come to my channel a lot, you'll know this. Here's the backs. I etched in black. An image. Love this deck so much. I gush about it all the time. I have the most awesome readings with it, and it's kind of Lenormand-y to me, but I think that's what I like about it. That's the charm. So that's what, 4. And I mentioned the Dreams of Gaia. The Dreams of Gaia is an honorable mention. That's why, before I discuss the last one, I want to show you. Here's the Dreams of Gaia. Some people treat it like an oracle. Some people treat it like a tarot. I treat it like both, so it's both. So I'm kind of cheating with this. Love this so much. I mostly use it for readings for myself. And the last one I felt bad about even showing because there's 2 reasons I felt bad. It is the Romance Angels Oracle cards. It's all banged up. I dropped it and banged that up. They're by Doreen Virtue. It's damaged here too. Couple reasons. A, she doesn't want us to be talking about her decks anymore, and I really don't want to glorify her like that. But I love this deck. I'm not going to show the images. I love this deck. I'm heartbroken because I can't get the deck anymore. Apparently, once they sold out everywhere, and then hopefully they'll come back and have Radley Valentine's name here instead of hers, like she wants or whatever. But they have not, Hay House has not reprinted it. And I tried to get a backup copy because this one is so banged up, and I use it for love readings for clients as well as readings for myself or readings for others. I rarely do readings for love for myself anymore. It's just like, you're married. You know, there's the times, but rare. But this is a good deck, and I struggled with mentioning it because of, you know, her belief system that she thinks is evil, and I just, you know, whatever. I don't identify with that, but this is an awesome deck. So I struggled with bringing that one up, but I can't lie. I use it all the time. Okay, where's my questions? Oh, it's buried under all my decks. Okay, we're almost done, guys. We are. Okay, do you know your sun, moon, and rising signs, and do they resonate, or do you resonate with astrology generally? I do. My sun is Aquarius, my moon is Sagittarius, and my rising sign is Aries. So I do resonate with them. I do resonate with astrology. I was very much into astrology ever since I was a little girl. I was that girl in the bookstores reading from cover to cover, and they would let me. Now in retrospect, I'm like, wow, that's really nice of the little bookstore owners. We used to have a little, it was called the Little Bookshop when I lived in Oakland when I was a little girl, and I would go, my mom would let me go to the bookstore or the library, and I would sit for hours reading astrology books. Am I like an expert? No. Don't come to me for being an expert, but I know my way around it, and I know it does resonate with me. I love getting my chart read. It's awesome, and I love, one of these days I like to do a collaboration with an astrologist, and we do a little tarot jam session, if you will, maybe live. That would be fun. But I do resonate with astrology. It's just, like I said, I'm not going to be able to bust out and do somebody's chart. I don't study it that way. I study tarot like that, and I pour it over tarot like that, but I can't say the same about astrology. I was always the one reading about, you know, my sun sign from those books that, you know, back in the day, they probably still make them. They go like Aquarius 2019, and I would read the whole book, you know, cover to cover in the bookstore. And then the last question that's more towards me is, my question is, what was your first experience with tarot, and when did you start reading? Which is tying back to the very first question, which was how I got started, so I won't rehash that. Yeah, I think I answered that, but thank you for asking that question. But yeah, yeah, I won't go back into all of that. It's a long, sordid tale how I got into tarot. Not really. Not really at all. So, I was going to pull out, where are you? Goodness, I have all these decks. So, I'm just going to do a quick draw. A quick draw for, first off, for Catherine. She's saying, I'm having some issues with my mother-in-law. What should I do? All right, Catherine, let's see. What should Catherine do? 5 of Wands. This is the card that jumped. And I get a sense of, you know, she wants to go petty, you go high, and try not to get involved in the petty. Let me show you. Like, The Five of Wands, I call it the petty arguments, the pointless arguments, the like I'm just bickering for nothing, or I'm nitpicking for something, and it's just not even something that you should even participate in. The moment you start participating and going down to that level of like letting those little jabs that she might do start to get to you, is the moment that you start playing at her level, and then she can start like not appearing, because I don't want to say that, I don't want to talk bad about your mother-in-law, but she might come across as like the victim to other family members, whereas if you just kind of say, oh, you know, and then also, yeah, that doesn't mean you still take it lying down. It's just that when it starts to be where it's going to be nitpicky and you can feel yourself start to get agitated, maybe excuse yourself for a moment, and then you could talk to her later about this, you know, out of earshot of others, and just say, I didn't really want to go there with you, but you know, it made me feel this way when you said that, and I just, you know, I didn't want to say anything loud, but I just wanted to, you know, come over here and talk to you about that. Or even better, talk to your husband about it and have your husband deal with it. But just try to avoid the petty if you can help it, because, you know, mother-in-laws, they have the best intention. Oh my gosh, this phone ringing. They have the best intentions. That I want to believe that. I want to believe that they aren't trying to, you know, bother the heck out of us. They really just want to make sure their family's okay. So when you understand that, and when you see her behaving that way, it might help to say, you know what, she's coming from a loving place. Just her approach is a little off. But it doesn't mean that you don't check it, but just do it in a respectful way. All right, there you go, Catherine. Next question is for Carolyn. Carolyn says, and because she added on to Catherine's question, she says, yes, what she said, the mother-in-law, plus brother-in-law and sister-in-law, what should she do? Because she says, I'm not sure what to do. So it's, and I'm a little familiar with the situation. It's her mother-in-law, her brother-in-law, and sister-in-law. I believe the offspring of her mother-in-law. And she wants to know what she should do about her situation with that. She's not sure what to do. What should Carolyn do about her mother-in-law? Okay. Oh, Carolyn. And see, I know Carolyn. So we're going to have a discussion about this Four of Discs, maybe in private. It's not bad. It's just that I know the situation. And so the Four of Discs is, sometimes it might come across, when you see the Four of Discs, they are like hoarding something from you, keeping something from you. But it also could represent you keeping something from them of value. They keeping something from you of value with this door in your way, and you keeping something from them, and it's like almost like a stalemate. But in your situation, I get a sense of standing your ground and protecting yours is important in this case. And you and I will discuss this a little bit further. But yeah, they're wanting to hold their ground, hold something valuable, and you as well. But at the end of the day, you also have to do what's best for the family, and so you don't want to be also appearing in a tug of war in the family. Someone is going to have to give. It may be you, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to give up of something of value. Contracts could be made, negotiations could be had. That can still happen, but don't, you know, let it also drive a wedge in the family if you can help it. Okay? All right, so I'll try to remember that this was the Four of Discs that we were talking about. I'll write that down. Four of Discs for you, and then it was the Five of Wands for our friend Catherine. All right, guys, so that was the longest ever Q&A that you probably were a part of. Hopefully the next time I do this in the future won't be so long. But I want to thank you so much for subscribing to the channel if you subscribe, for liking the videos when you hit the like button, for all your support. I wanted to do this Q&A as a fun way of you guys getting to know me a little bit more, me getting to know you. You asked some awesome questions. Thank you. And if you have any additional questions, you can feel free to ask them in the comments below. And when I get a chance, if I'm not doing tarot readings, I will get to those comments and respond. Thank you all so much for watching. So much love, many blessings to all of you. Mwah. Bye.